Ready to go. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam ajma'een. Begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the compassionate, the merciful. We ask that He send peace and blessings upon our noble and our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So inshallah we're continuing with our text, Lessons in Monotheism, or Lessons in Divine Oneness, which is called Durus al-Tawhid of Habib Muhammad bin Salim. And we spent last week doing kind of the run through of the introduction, and then he gave us a quick list of the 20 attributes that are necessary to believe in and are necessary for Allah, and then the impossible. And now we're going to go through one by one, defining them, giving proofs from the Quran, and mentioning other matters related to it. Okay? So he says, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on his soul, معنى الوجود ودليله. معنى الوجود ودليله, or معنى الوجود ودليل الوجود. معنى الوجود, what is the meaning of existence? Sorry, this is probably not a good way to phrase it. What is the meaning of the attribute of Allah, existence? Right? What's the definition of that? An easier definition to understand for this first group would be that the essence of Allah exists as opposed to not exist. And what is intended by the word existence, they call it dhati. It's an existence that exists on its own. Meaning that it is necessary and could not rationally accept non-existence. I know that seems really convoluted, right? But it's straight from the text, because in Arabic it's not convoluted, right? In other words, this essence, the essence of Allah, there's no way that the essence of Allah could not exist. Okay? In perpetuity, right? This is in contrast to our own existence, your existence and mine. Because it is through His act, His creative act. Right? So His existence exists without any need of anything, right? Exists on its own. Our existence is out of His act. Our existence could feasibly not exist, right? In other words, it could not be. You and I could not exist. Therefore, the author says, the opposite of existence is non-existence, and so non-existence is an impossible attribute for Allah Most High. Okay? So that just kind of clarified for you what they mean by existence. That's kind of like an easier definition to understand. And then he gives you a few proofs, not two, a few proofs from the Quran for this attribute. So he says, وَالدَّلِيلُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى أَفِ اللَّهِ شَكٌّ. And proof of this is the saying of Allah Most High, and you'll find this in Surah Al-Ibrahim, right? Verse 10, which is from the 14th chapter, in which Allah says, is there any doubt in Allah, فَاطِرُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, the creator of the heavens and earth? Is there any doubt that He exists? And then he gives another proof from the Quran, وَقَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. This is from Surah Al-Hadid, iron, in the 4th verse. It's chapter 54. He says, and He is with you wherever you may be, meaning Allah, right? So He exists, right? And then he gives another verse, and he says, ما يكون من نجوى ثلاثة إلا هو رابعهم ولا خمسة إلا هو سادسهم ولا أدنى من ذلك ولا أكثر إلا هو معهم أينما كانوا. So this is from Surah Al-Mujadala, the dispute, chapter 58. verse 7, he says, there is no secret conversation. That's one way to translate it. Another way to translate is intimate conversation between three people where he, meaning Allah, is not the fourth, nor between five where he is not the sixth, nor between less or more than that without him being with them, wherever they may be. Meaning Allah exists. He's there. Right? This is what is mentioned by our author. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him. I'm going to mention some other verses that also point to and indicate the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the noble Quran. You have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying in Surah An-Naba, verses that you might have read or hear often, after أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا. Did we not make the earth smooth and make the mountains to keep it stable? Did we not create you in pairs, give you sleep for rest, the night as a cover, and the day for your livelihood? Did we not build 7 strong heavens above you and make a blazing lamp? Did we not send water pouring down from the clouds to bring forth with it grain, plants, and luxuriant gardens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says elsewhere in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار والفلك التي تجري في البحر بما ينفع الناس وما أنزل الله من السماء من ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة وتصريف الرياح والسحاب المسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. He says, in the creation of the heavens and earth, in the alternation of night and day, in the ships that sail the seas with goods for people, in the water which God sends down from the sky to give life to the earth when it has been barren, scattering all kinds of creatures over it, in the changing of the winds and clouds that run their appointed courses between the sky and earth, there are signs in all of these for those who use their minds. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, ألم تروا كيف خلق الله 7 سماوات طباقا وجعل القمر فيهن نورا وجعل الشمس سراجا والله أنبتكم من الأرض نباتا ثم يعيدكم فيها ويخرجكم إخراجا. Have you ever wondered how God created 7 heavens, one above the other, placed the moon on a light in them, and the sun as a lamp? How God made you spring forth from the earth like a plant? How He will return you into it and bring you out again? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says elsewhere in the Quran, I'll read the English for you because it's a lengthier passage. He says, it was we, meaning Allah, who created you. Will you not believe? Consider what you eject. Do you create it yourselves, or are we the creator? We ordained death to be among you. Nothing could stop us. If we intended to change you and recreate you in a way unknown to you, you have learned how you were first created. Will you not reflect? Consider the seeds you sow in the ground. Is it you, who make them grow, or we? If we wished, we could turn your harvest into a chaff and leave you to wail. We are burdened with debt. We are bereft. That's a quote, right, from them. Consider the water you drink. Was it you who brought it down from the rain cloud, or we? If we wanted, we could make it bitter. Will you not be thankful? Consider the fire you kindle. Is it you who make the wood for it grow, or we? We made it a reminder and useful to those who kindle it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yunus, فَذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمُ الْحَقِّ فَمَاذَا بَعْدَ الْحَقِّ إِلَّا الضَّلَالِ فَأَنَّا تُصْرَفُونَ. So there you have Allah, your Lord in truth. And what remains after truth except misguidance. Right? And a few more, we'll stop there inshallah. He says in Surah Yunus as well, قُلْ انظُرُوا ماذا في السماوات والأرض وما تغني الآيات والنذر عن قوم لا يؤمنون. Say, Look at what is in the heavens and on earth, on the earth, right? That these signs suffice one, right? For those who believe. And then he also says in Surah Al-Ankabut, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانظُرُوا كَيْفَ بَدَأَ الْخَلْقِ ثُمَّ اللَّهُ يُنْشِئُ النَّشْأَةَ الْآخِرَةَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Say, travel through the earth and see he brings life into being. Right? And then Allah will bring it about again. And Allah is capable of all things. And he says in Surah Fussilat, سَنُورِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ أَوْلَمْ يَكْفِي بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. We will show them our signs on the horizons in their very selves until it becomes clear to them that it is the truth. And he says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ. Were they created out of nothing? Were they the creators? Did they create the heavens and the earth? No, they do not have faith. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in a lengthier passage, and when Abraham said to his father Azar, or to his uncle Azar, do you take idols as gods? For I see you and your people in manifest error. In this way, we showed Abraham the realms of the heavens and the earth, that he may be from the possessed of certitude. When the night covered him over, he saw a star. He said, this is my Lord. But when it set, he said, I love not those that set. When he saw the moon rising in splendor, he said, this is my Lord. But when it set, he said, unless my Lord guides me, I'm surely going to be among those who go astray. So when he saw the sun rising in splendor, he said, this is my Lord. This is greatest of all. But when it set, he said, O my people, I am innocent of that which you associate with Allah. For me, I have set my face purely toward him who created the heavens and the earth, and never shall I be of those who associate partners with him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran elsewhere, إن في خلق السماوات والاختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. There are truly signs in the creation of the heavens and the earth and in the alternation of night and day for those with understanding who remember God standing, sitting, and lying down, who reflect on the creation of the heavens and earth. Our Lord, you have not created all of this without purpose. You are far above that. So protect us from the torment of the fire. And he says, هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في ستة أيام ثم استوى على العرش يعلم ما يلج في الأرض وما يخرج منها وما ينزل من السماء وما يعرج فيها وهو معكم أينما كنتم والله بما تعملون بصير. It is he who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. He established himself on the throne. He knows what enters within the earth and what comes forth out of it, what comes down from the heavens and what mounts up to it, and he is with you wherever you may be. And Allah sees all that you do. So these verses are examples that prove from the Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence, right? And really, if you pull the meanings out, they can also be used in proofs to other people that are not believers in the Quran. Right? Because it indicates meanings that transcend someone just believing in the texts. Right? So we have to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. But if we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, brothers and sisters in faith, the question becomes, how does that shift how we act if Allah exists? Especially after reading those verses. So we have to ask ourselves, okay, we know He exists. How can we sin knowing that He's with us everywhere we may be? His existence is real. There's no beginning, no end to it, unlike ours. Right? So this should shift how you and I act. Okay? What they call everything else that has not always been and has not always existed, they call it in Arabic hadith. It's a good word to memorize and know. Hadith. Not hadith. Hadith. Ha, alif, dal, tha. Right? Huduth is the word it roots from, is something existing after not existing. So there was a time it wasn't. Right? So everything else is hadith. But Allah is not hadith. Right? He's always existed. Right? So a person might ask, well, Taysir, Is there are there rational proofs, or is there a way to prove that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists for people who don't believe? The answer is yes, but really belief is not based upon rational reasoning, right? It's based upon other dynamics that we learned from the Quran and from the Sunnah, and it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, for this lesson, if you take the second lesson, there'll be a little bit more reference to those, but for this lesson, we only want to focus on the proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah, and then to talk about how we can improve our faith, right? How do we improve our faith and our faith in the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala most high? So Imam al-Haddad says, and he gets it from the books of the Salaf, that really there are four maybe categories we can say of types of believers. Number one is the common lay believer. And this is a person who believes, but when something bad befalls them, maybe some doubt begins to enter into their mind. Okay? The second type is those who believe in a strong manner, right? These are individuals who, these are the people of certainty, really, right? They have a really strong manner. And these are the people that if something were to befall them, it wouldn't shake their belief, right? And then finally, so maybe instead of four, we can categorize them as three. Those who the unseen world becomes like the seen world, meaning like the Prophet and the companion, some of them, and some of the awliya. Well, they begin to see the unseen kingdom and the unseen realm, right? And so a person's of different levels. Certitude, this word certitude, is used for a level of faith. So faith increases and it decreases. So how does one increase in belief and certainty? That becomes the question that an intelligent person would want to ask. So there are four ways that I'll mention to you from the books that a person can increase in faith. Number one is that they reflect on verses like the ones we just mentioned, and a hadith about Allah and heaven and hell. That's actually like the asl, like the strongest cause to increase is through something like that, right? The strongest cause. Two, to reflect on the created world. So looking at the stars, as the verses were mentioning, looking at the mountains, the seas, at our own selves, reflecting on that strengthens one's faith. And this theme is found in our religion as al-kitab al-mastur and al-kitab al-manzur. The written book, meaning the Quran and hadith and these types of things, and the visual book, the created world. And in them are great signs. Third is acting on what you believe. The more that you pray, the more you pray in jama'ah, the more that you give charity, the more that you fast, your faith will be increased, inshallah. And then fourth is keeping good company, particularly around people of strong certitude. Especially people of strong certitude. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us that the Prophet ﷺ was the best of companions. And so Sayyidina Hanzala, when he was asked, how are you doing this morning, O Hanzala? And he said, I woke up as a hypocrite. And they asked him why. And he said, when I'm with the Prophet, it's as though I can see heaven and hell. And when I leave his company, I'm with my family, I'm in my business, and it decreases. And the Prophet said, when they told him that, and he told them, if you were to remain in the same condition around me at all times, the angels would shake your hands in the streets. So one of the strongest ways to increase in certitude is to be around other people of certitude. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ وَلَا تَعْدُ عَيْنَاكَ عَنْهُمْ تُرِيدُ زِينَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَلَا تُطِعْ مَنْ أَغْفَلْنَا قَلْبَهُ عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ وَكَانَ أَمْرُهُ فُرُطًا. And restrain yourself along with those who call upon their Lord at morning and evening, desiring his countenance. And do not let your eyes overlook them, desiring the glitter of the life, of this world. And do not obey him whose heart we have made oblivious to our remembrance, and follow him his own whim, and who follows his own whim, and whose conduct is merely, unimportant, right? and splits. He has a complicated word here, prodigality, but furuta means that it has no strong substance, right? So these four causes are like outward causes that can strengthen a person's faith, which is the goal. The goal is not rational debate. The goal is to strengthen one's faith, and faith is essentially like a seed that's placed in the heart, and then it grows if you water it. It grows if you water it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا كَلِمَةً طَيِّبَةً كَشَجَرَةٍ طَيِّبَةٍ أَصْلُهَا ثَابِتٌ وَفَرْعُهَا فِي السَّمَاءِ تُؤْتِي أُكُلَهَا كُلَّ حِينٍ بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهَا وَيَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْأَمْثَالَ لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ. Have you not seen how God has struck a similitude? A goodly saying is as a goodly tree. Its roots set firm, and its shoots are in the heaven. It gives its produce every season by the leave of its Lord. And God strikes similitudes for mankind so they might remember. And the Mufassirun say that word, that seed is the shahada. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Right? So you gotta water the plant. How do you water the plant? Reflecting on the verses of Quran, Hadith, reflecting on the world, acting on the Sunnah, being around. That's it. You don't increase faith through argumentation. You do not do that. Right? Okay. So that's the attribute of existence, okay? So next, our author mentions a second attribute, which you've covered in general, right? Which is beginninglessness, qidam. What is the meaning of qidam, beginninglessness? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beginningless in perpetuity. There is no beginning to his firstness, and there's no opening to his existence. As opposed to he uses the same word and doesn't really translate in English, our oldness, right? Because qadim is also just means old, right? But here they don't mean old. They mean if you went back in history, we have a beginning, right? If you went back in the cosmos' history, there's a starting point, right? All things created. And he said the opposite of beginninglessness is huduth, that word that I gave you, hadith, huduth, meaning a beginning in time. So huduth, beginning in time, is an impossible attribute with regards to Allah Most High. It's an impossible attribute with regard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Most High. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. He is the first and the last, the manifest and the hidden. He has knowledge over all things. So, in general, what we're saying is, qidam is an attribute that's negating his having a beginning. It's negating his having a beginning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says elsewhere in the Quran, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ. He says, were they created out of nothing? Were they the creators? Were they created out of nothing? Were they the creators? Did they create the heavens and the earth? They don't have any understanding. Where did this all come from, right? So these are all proofs from the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have a beginning. He does not have a beginning. He's beginningless. The third and the final attribute that we'll cover today, there's a couple points I want to cover that are related to this, but the final attribute that we're going to cover today is baqa, which is endlessness. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is continuously endless. So there is no end to his lastness. Because he calls himself the last, right? There's no end to his lastness. Because he is the first without a beginning and the last without an end. And the opposite of endlessness is to have an end. So having an end is an impossible attribute for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High. And then he gives this proof from the Quran, كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. Everyone on earth perishes, all that remains is the face of your Lord, full of majesty, bestowing honor. So again, endlessness is negating the concept that Allah could what? Have an attribute of ending. The Quran says, the verse that we mentioned in the attribute before this, هو الأول والآخر. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. He is the first and the last, the manifest and the hidden. He has knowledge over all things. Allah also says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَا تَدْعُ مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ لا إله إلا هو كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه له الحكم وإليه ترجعون. Do not call out to any other God beside Allah, for there is no God but Him. Everything will perish except His face. He is the judgment, and to Him you shall all be brought back. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says elsewhere in the Quran, الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون. Most of us know this verse. Those who say when afflicted with a calamity, we belong to Allah and to Him we shall return. Because He has no end. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says elsewhere in the Quran, وَلِلَّهِ مِيرَاثُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. It is God who will inherit the heavens and the earth. Meaning everything will perish, and who will inherit it? Allah. God is well aware of everything that you and I do. Right? So those are the three attributes that we're covering today. We've covered existence, beginninglessness, and endlessness. Right? And we said there were going to be how many attributes that we're going to cover? 20. I want to read to you one more thing, inshallah, and then we'll take questions. I want to read to you from Imam al-Ghazali. This is a really good book to have. It's called The 99 Beautiful Names of Allah. And the second part is a little bit complicated, but the part where it talks about the names is really beautiful, and it's accessible to people. It's not super theological. So he talks about these two names, the first and the last, right? He says, Al-Awwal, Al-Akhir. He says, the first, the last. You should know that whatever is first with respect to something, and what is last is so with respect to something, and that they are opposites. For it is inconceivable that there be one thing which is first and last at once, in a single respect and in relation to the same thing. Yet when you ponder the order of existence and consider the ordered chain of beings, God, the Most High, is first with respect to it, since all of them receive their existence from Him. And He does not receive existence from another, but is existent by His essence. Whenever you ponder the order of wayfaring and observe the stages attained by those journeying towards Him, He is the last, for He is the final point to which the levels of knowers ascend. For every knowing experienced, this side of knowledge of Him is a step towards knowledge of Him. The highest stage is knowledge of God. May He be praised and exalted. So He is last with respect to wayfaring, meaning traveling, and first with respect to existence. The first beginning was from Him, and to Him is the last return and destination. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So that's a good, I think, beginning discussion about these attributes. I just want to check one thing, inshallah, and then we'll open it up to questions, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And we might end a few minutes early, which would be great. He says, Tanbih. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I don't think I want to add any of this. So I think, inshallah, we can stop there and see if there are any questions. Let me see if Gopi's on and if he has questions. Nothing? All right, so we have a couple minutes rather than end, a good 15 minutes before. There's one thing I want to cover with you that I hadn't planned to, but I will, which is the word qadim. There is some discussion about this word in our modern times, and I think it's important that you know that the word, there is consensus about the usage of the word. So in other words, the Ummah of Ahl Sunnah did not object to the word. In our modern times, there are groups of people that are now objecting to the word. Okay? And they don't like using the word because they say, where is this word in the Quran and Hadith? Right? So they object to its usage. And so to help you out, I want to share with you a couple of things that I think are really useful, and I was going to share them with the other group anyway. There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he says, أعوذ بالله العظيم وبوجهه الكريم وسلطانه القديم من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek Allah's protection, Allah the great or the magnificent protection, and through his eminent face or magnificent face, and his kingdom, his never-ending kingdom. His beginningless kingdom. From the cursed devil. So the actual word qadim is used in it, and it's reference to Allah. But even if they don't accept that, they say, oh, it's not strong enough. The point is the word qadim, what we really mean by it is Allah is first without beginning. That's all that it means. And al-awwal is in the Quran. Right? Al-awwal is actually in the Quran. And the other word, meaning without a beginning, is from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So we have, for example, the Prophet ﷺ said, when a person goes to lay down, he says, Allahumma rabb as-samawati wal-ard wa rabbi kulli shay' فالق الحب والنوى منزل التوراة والإنجيل والقرآن أعوذ بك من كل ذر شر أنت آخذ بناصيته أنت الأول فليس قبلك شيء. After saying those beginning points of the hadith, you are the first, nothing is before you. وأنت الآخر فليس بعدك شيء. And you're the last and no one comes after you. And then it goes on from there. And in another version, the Prophet ﷺ said, he used to order us, if anyone lies down, that he said, Oh Allah, اللهم رب السماوات رب الأرضين وبنا ورب كل شيء فالق الحب والنوى ومنزل التوراة والإنجيل والقرآن أعوذ بك من شر كل شر أنت آخذ بناصيتي أنت الأول فليس قبلك شيء أنت الآخر فليس بعدك شيء. The same reference in a different hadith, right? So if somebody gives you a hard time about this, or if you have any confusion, the real answer is, first and foremost, that all we're saying is that Allah is first without beginning. And that there's consensus of Ahl Sunnah that that word can be used. And we're not saying that that's a name of Allah, right? What we're saying is that that is one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes, right? Is that he does not have a beginning, okay? So that's useful to you because it wasn't until very, very recently that some people started objecting to the usage of that word. And so it's caused some people some confusion and they don't know how to respond to it. So there you've got it. You've got a couple of hadith. You have one hadith where it's actually mentioned, the word qadim is mentioned in it. Two, it's just simply another way of saying the first without beginning. Okay? Alhamdulillah. Any other questions? Great. Alhamdulillah. So we're going to wrap up, inshallah. And inshallah, next week, we'll cover 3 or 4 more of the attributes, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, until we get through all of them, bi'idhnillah. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wasallam ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi sahbihi sallam ajma'in. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He forgives us of our sins, large and small, that He brings us closer towards Him and towards His noble and His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi sahbihi sallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He fills our hearts with light, with knowledge, with love. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Al-Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ameen. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum. Great. Bismillah.